Hi, and welcome to the Barely Normal podcast. I'm your host, Luke. I hope you are having a wonderful day. Cool. Well, do yourself a favor. If you enjoy reading about interesting things, read Identically Different by Tim Spector. Why you can change your genes. Now, I don't know about you, and I know that knowledge is continually changing. There's even a rate of change of knowledge. How bizarre is that? But I remember being taught that what you're born with is what you got. That's your genes, that's it. But if that were true, then you should find twins dying of the same things more often than not, right? Unless it's like they were hit by a truck or one of them took up meth young. You never hear about people taking up meth late in life, although I suppose they all do. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, twins are very important when it comes to studying your genetics, mainly because they're different. And they kind of shouldn't be if they're born with the same genes. And it turns out there's something called epigenetics. And these are little kind of switches that turn on and off at different times. And then, I suppose, express different things. So, for instance, going through puberty or your hair turning grey, those are epigenetic switches. And the great thing is that it looks like we have a little bit of control over these switches. Which totally makes sense, I suppose. If you've ever seen like Poltergeist, people like their hair going white overnight or something when they get so scared, or that sounds like an epigenetic switch to me. I wonder if that's going to be a future thing. Like, I know that there's a lot of talk about genetic babies and genetically modifying babies so that they're taller and they look better and they're smarter, and you end up with kind of a Gattaca situation. But what if the future is more along the lines of you have an app and you give a sample of your DNA and it gets loaded onto the app, and now you can see all your switches that are available to you. And of course, these are all in-app purchases, obviously. But how great would it be if you could, you feel like having auburn hair of a certain thickness or something. You can change your follicle size. You can probably change, who knows? You can change your hair color, your eye color, if you have the genes for it, of course. If you don't have the genes for it, well, then there's nothing to switch on and off. But yeah, who knows? Maybe you can become a little bit smarter, a little bit prettier. Most people can. But then, I suppose it comes down to what incentivizes a group of people as well. Because people who have different problems will be incentivized in different ways. Like if you've lived in poverty most of your life and you see that there's a new technology and you have a child and you kind of like guide them towards that technology, or go to a new country like many immigrants do or have done, because you want the best for your child. You're using modern technology. That doesn't seem like a bad thing. But it would be interesting to see how things change over time, because you would also be able to change maybe how long you live. What if you could live almost indefinitely without in the body of, you know, a 30-year-old? Now, there have been lots of movies about this. And I suppose the big problem is, well, there's almost 8 billion people. Not everybody can live forever. What if they all did? And what if everybody wants the same level of lifestyle? Which everybody kind of does. Unless you are on the far kind of blessed, I suppose. And so I suppose it comes down to, yeah, what's your incentive? Is your incentive, would it be to carry on the things that you have and grow them? Would it be to get the things that you don't have? Would you, if you had the choice, would you have something cut out of your personality or your traits? Like it could be impulsiveness or anything like that. Have a cognitive bias removed. Or would you have something and double down on a positive to you, what seems to you a positive characteristic? Like it could be humor or intelligence or anything, height or whatever. It would be interesting to, if we could ever do that and then have studies on that, because we would probably find that the reasons that people choose things are usually out of want and not out of, it's usually out of a lack, a sense of lack. Like what are they missing? And not what can they gain, I suppose. Because once they get the thing, for instance, many comedians are apparently known to have had like very traumatic childhoods. We've been through stuff. And that makes sense. And now they're trying to, I suppose, heal themselves by going through their trauma and finding things in a funny, humorous light. Seems kind of amazing, really, that we have these coping strategies. It's like it hurt us before, let's kind of dive in deeper. So if people were given double the thing that made them feel validated, maybe it would be a negative thing for them ultimately, because the thing that made them feel validated, they felt validated because they didn't feel validated to begin with. If that makes sense. So, like the Great Gatsby. He was poor and he wanted to be rich because the girl he liked seemed to like rich people. And he figured out a way to become wealthy, and she still didn't like him. Funny that. And Scott Fitzgerald did, I think, pretty much the same thing, the author of The Great Gatsby. He liked a woman and she liked money, and but as far as I heard, she didn't really, their relationship was troubled, I do believe. So I suppose that's why getting what you want isn't necessarily a good thing, because what you want is often what you don't have. They say that we try and appeal to the parent that we didn't get the most love from, or who wasn't as easily accepting. Like you feel like you've got to earn it with them, but so you end up trying harder. Which is kind of fascinating, because they still don't, if anything, it proves to the parent that like what they're doing is correct. Because they're getting all the validation and all the love in that from the child, without the child necessarily getting what they are trying to aim for. So I wonder what because that seems like a blatant cognitive bias. So I wonder what life would look like if we started operating from another point of view, more out of excitement than fear. What potential would there be? How much excitement can you build that drives you forward for this will that figures out the way? I don't know. But, yeah, fascinating. Oh, okay, well, I suppose that's the end of... Thank you so much for listening. Let me know what you think. Would you double down on your positives or have your negatives removed? If you could. Or if you could if you could choose how long you live, how long would you live? Let me know. And, yeah. Oh, yeah, now I remember what it is.